So, welcome back to this second part of the tutorial. In this part, we are going to finish our stage, or at least going to try. So, first of all, we're going to fix some errors, add, start, finish, podium, etc. And then decorate the stage. And that should be it, I think. So yeah, let's jump right into it. So we have the stage I made last time. It's still the same. And we're firstly going to fix some errors. Now that we have the root, this is the prime time to fix the errors when you have the root and haven't decorated that much. So because now you can more easily fix the errors you might have. So how to check for errors? We go to Tools on the top here, and then we have Check Stage, and we left click on that, and this is good news for me. But if you only have these three errors, so no start line, no finish line, and podium not placed on landscape, then it's okay. If you have more errors, those you need to fix, and those you should be able to fix. I will try to replicate some errors. So yeah, I'll try. That won't work. Okay, so we're going to do it the other way around. So yeah, now I have put in some more roads. I'm going to Tools, Check Stage, and now we have 12 errors. So we have the 3 start line, finish line, and podium not placed on landscape. Those are the basic errors. You don't need to care about that. But then we have some other errors, and those we have to fix. Now the good thing is you can just click on Go on all of them to see where exactly the error is at. So road overlap, the error road overlap, you see I have different road overlap errors, you can see it very clearly here. The road is just overlapping itself, and that's not great. That mostly happens in tight corners, or in you can't put 2 intersections too close to each other. So if I do this, you see that there is also road overlap, and it will also show up another error, road points too close from intersection. So you see, when you have 2 intersections, you have to at least need a decent amount. So this is still too close, I think. Yes. So this is fine. So now if we check stage, there is no error anymore. That's there's road point too close from intersection. The other things, so check stage, road overlap. So now we see that the corner is too tight. That's probably because our road points are a bit too close to each other. So there is a really tight point between having too much road points, or too little road points, or just enough road points. So you have to find a good place between them. So like this, you want to have this kind of bend maybe. But this road point is it's not necessary, and it doesn't really help, because those two are really close to each other, and you see here is a little bit road overlap, and here is a lot of road overlap. So I'm just going to delete this road point, and now you see this is already better. A lot better, so just going to replace, and we have kind of the same bend or turn right here. And now if we check the stage, we should also have less errors, as you can see. So we're just going to fix the road overlap. So like this, I'm just going to move this road point a bit further, so the turn is not that tight, or a bit more like this, so it has more space to work with, like this. And now this is better. So we're going to once again check. another road overlap we have here. I think I am just going to delete this one and then move this and move this a bit like this. I think that should work. Yeah. So now we have two other arrows. So we have intersection with only two ways and uncompleted spline object. Uncompleted spline object is the easiest. If you just put a road point or any other, if you put a lake point like this, and we're going to check again. Now we have more uncompleted spline objects. So that means that there is just an object that is not completed. So here we have a single road point, or even if you have a lake but it's not closed yet, you're going to see that you have an incomplete spline object. So you can just fix that error by completing the spline object or just deleting it. So now if we delete those, we have only two errors. The final uncompleted spline object is here, and that's the same on the intersection with only two ways. So if you have an intersection with only two ways, like this, if we go in, as you can see, we have an intersection with only two ways right here. So you can fix that by adding a third way, or just deleting the intersection and making a new, continuing your road like this. So you can fix it like that. But here you can really clearly see, if we click on this road point, where, so we check again, road overlap. So if we go to uncompleted spline object and intersection with only two ways, you can clearly see when I left click on it, this road doesn't show up orange. So I click on it the second time, and now this road is selected. So if we have selected this road, if we click again, like this stays red. So there is another road connected to this one. So yeah, you can't clearly see it, but it's just a road too much. So if we now delete this node and we check again, like this, that works. And now we have fixed all our errors. So I think these are the most basic ones. If you have another error, just ask in the comments or in the Discord server or whatever. Yeah, there are some other, I think. Also, but that's only if you have a root, so I will try to show it. So I'm going to delete this. If you want to select an area, just hold Alt key and yeah, select the area you want, and then you can delete most of it at the same time. So we have once again our three basic errors. I'm just going to show you one more error, I think, if I can do this right here. Okay. Yeah, it's really hard to make errors on purpose. So I'm just going to make it very easy, like this. That's not really a great stage, as you can see. And if we go to tools check stage, now we get the error bad road slope. This will only happen on the roads you have your route on. But it means your road is too steep, and as you can clearly see, this road is too steep. So now we're going to try and fix the profile a bit of our stage. If you have too steep roads, you can fix it with some tricks. And we're going over those tricks right now. So why is this important? that you have already the root to fix this. You can do it without the root, but I think it's very easier with the root because now we have the top view. And on the top view you see those different colors on the profiles, and I mostly fix the profile with this profile view, sorry, the profile view, not top view. As you can see, we have green, that's not steep at all, blue is a bit steep, yellow is steeper, then we have red, and the steepest parts are black. Now, black parts are really steep, and in Project Manager they don't really work because the riders go full out always. So that's not really what we want, unless you have mirrored flash while on or something, and on a really steep wall in real life also, then you can do it. But we mostly try to avoid the black parts, and on flatter stages we also try to avoid the red parts because that's really steep. Also, we try to not, if you have something like this, you will clearly see here we go up and then we go down again, and then we go up again and we go down again. There's something better where I show it. This will also improve by making more stages. Do we have an example here? Not really. So if you have a road, we'll try to make it that goes on a climb like this with some hairpins and such. You want to make a climb. You see that here it goes up, here it goes down, here it goes up, here it goes down, up, it's flat, up, 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 down. So that's not really what we want. And if you will make a route, and you will see that the profile is really irregular. So that's not really something we want. So we're going to try to fix that too. So how do we do that? Well, we go to the first place where our road is a bit steep. You can go to the profile view, and then with the left click you can drag this blue arrow, and that will show you where on the route you are. So yeah, it has selected that node because that node comes is the same as this spot on the route, so it selects it automatically. You can press spacebar to take a closer look at it. So here we have it. So we have a bit flat, a bit upwards, and then it's downwards again, and then a very steep part. So I don't want that. I want this to be upwards also, and then this a bit less steep. So we're going to, there are two options, or you just use the terrain available. So like this will work. You have to check though if you don't make too tight fence, but this works. And now you can see on the profile view, instead of a really steep red part, we have blue and yellow, which is better, of course. So this works by just moving the point a bit on the terrain we have. Also, what you can do is unselect snap objects to landscape, and then just move them upwards a bit, and then you'll have the same effect like this. I will just try to follow the landscape on this one because it's just a fantasy stage, and it's easier on a fantasy stage like this. So now we have blue and a bit of yellow, so that's great. Just check it. Also check your stage as much as possible to check if you don't make another error instead of fixing one. I also want this to be a bit steeper here, so I'm just going to put that right here, I think. Yeah. So now we have a nice climb. I'm not really sure. Yeah, it will stay like this. So now we have blue and yellow, and that's the colors we like because that are the normal inclines. So we're going to have this. Let's check here. So this is all fine. You can if you want, make it a bit high. So you see here we have a tiny blue line. If you don't want that, you can just unselect snap object to landscape and then move the other node a tiny bit higher, like this. And if you then check profile view, it's not really fixed yet, so you can make this one a bit higher, and this one also a bit higher, like this. And now it's fixed, you can see. So that's not really necessary, but it's, if you want to do that, it's always possible. So for our next climb, we have some nice things. On the top it's a bit steep, but I think that should be fine. I will. So as you can see here, it goes up and then it's a bit flat. So I will try to fix that by lowering this. So now we have, more regular incline. So here also, so this is flat and this is really steep, so I will try to lower this. So unselect snap object to landscape, lower this a bit, like this. Yeah, that's fine. So now it's not red anymore. Also here, I will try to make this part a bit higher, and this one too. I think this will work. So now we have, we have only yellow on this. So that's a bit trial and error, and try to see how to make your climb or descent as regular as possible. So I will lower this a bit, because this is less steep than this part. So a bit more like this. And now if we check the profile view, now it's perfectly yellow and then blue. So that's what we want. Which that's great. Final thing. Right here, see this is flat, this is a bit more steep. And we go to lower this one like this. If we go to profile view, yep, that's perfect. So and for the rest this is mostly flat. We only have this hill, small hill to do. So this is fine. So there are two things I could do. I could make this a bit higher, this this point. So this part is a bit steeper, and then that, because this is fairly steep, as you can see, it's red on the profile view. But also this part is really flat, so I could make this that lower, and then we'd also have the same effect. I think I'm going to lower this. So here the best solution, I think, is just drag it down with the snap object to landscape off, and there we have it. So that's fine. On the other side, we see that this is fairly steep, so here I'm going to try this. Yeah, that works. So it's a bit of a mix between just changing the root point across the landscape. For real life stages, that's what you use a bit less, because you want to have the road on the same place as in real life. For fantasy stages, you can just drag it across the landscape a bit to have a natural less or steeper or less steep roads. So I'm just going to fix the final things here, I think. So just, it's a bit what you want also. So like this. So now we have no red parts, no black parts especially, and we have really regular climbs. As you can see, this is always blue, this is always yellow, then always yellow, then always blue. Also here, okay, there are small yellow or blue parts, but it's not that it goes up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. So that's what we want. yeah, that's how we fix the profile mostly. So now our route is finished, our profile is finished, so we kind of have our waves. Final things, we will save the stage again, of course. So now we have only our final 3 arrows left. Check the stage once again. So start line, no finish line, and no podium. So start line, finish line, and intermediate sprints are all in the route tab, and then sprint. That will give you a pop-up like this, and then on the right side all kinds of starts and finishes and such. So we have a start. You can select how your start look like, the Tour de France start or just the default start. As I said, I wanted to start to be here, and you can also see on this side you have add deeper default at this kind of kilometers, and you see at 3 kilometers is always possible. 2, if you go less than 2, impossible to add this object, because you always need to have 2 kilometers of road before you place the object. So I'm going to put a start right here, I think, like this. I'm going to name it start. You of course name it the start location, so if you have a stage that starts in Paris, you name it Paris, and that's very easy. Then we have to add the finish. So you have the basic start, you have the time trial start if you want to make a time trial. You have a flat finish and a mountain finish. The only difference is that the mountain finish gives mountain points, and the flat finish only gives sprint points. I mostly use, if you don't give mountain points at the end of your stage, just use the flat finish, because that has more things you can do. Also with time trials and such, it's better. So I'm going to put the finish right on the same place, so maybe a bit further even. So right click to put it down, and you see that the kilometer marking, so I'm going to name it finish. And this is important. You have to categorize your stage. So for me it's flat or hill. So classic is with cobbles, hill or flat is hilly of flat stages, mountain stages, race. I don't use race a lot. And then mountain time trial, mountain time trial, team time trial, and time trial are very important, because if you don't put it on that, then your stage will not appear as a time trial, but as a normal stage. So that's not what we want. Also, the hill, flat, and mountain decides how many sprint points you get at the end of a stage. So in the Tour de France you get 50 points if you're in a flat stage for the points classification, and if you're in a hilly stage you get 25 or so, I don't know. But in the game this all depends on what you should have selected here, so that's really important. So I will make it a flat stage, and then you have to name it, of course, you name it as your location. Now you can see that the kilometer markings have already been placed, so 1 kilometer, 5 kilometers, 10 kilometers, and 20 kilometers, so that's great. Now we have to once again check the stage, because sometimes I will show you, if I put the finish here, yes, reset flags. So now you can see this sprint object, so the 1 kilometer, is on an intersection. And if we check the stage, you will see that the sprint object near intersection is this one too close to an intersection, and that makes an error. So you have to make it so your sprint object is not near an intersection. And also the flags can't be near an intersection, so you have to at least have a minimum distance. So reset flags once again. So this might not be enough. If you check the stage, yeah, you see these two flags are still a bit too close to the intersection. So I'm just going to check, select this one, and then reset the flags once again. Also, an too close to intersection only happens when you have an intersection like this, where your route changes from road to road. So on this part, so this is one road, and if your route goes from here to here, you can put the finish on the intersection, and because it stays on the same route, there won't be a problem. But here it's not the same road. As you see, this is a different road than this one. So yeah, then this gives an error. So now this is good, and also this happened with all the sprints objects. So also start, finish, and also sprints. So if you want to add, so we go to sprint. If you want add an intermediate sprint, you add sprint flat. For example, at this side. So you just have to make sure that the flags aren't on the intersection. And then if you want to have a mountain sprint, you have a sprint mountain. Right here. You can also always name it. So in category you can put it forward category, and yeah, the sprint is or normal or time trial. If you want a time check and a time trial, you have to name it. So KOM, sprint. Also, you can check because we have multiple laps. You can see that the sprint and the KOM now appear on both laps. If you don't want that, if you only want the sprint to be on the second lap, you can unselect the first kilometer marking here, and then you'll see that it only appears on the second lap. Also, don't forget to check your stage, because it might happen that the sprint object is on an intersection. Also, if you don't want to move your finish, but your sprint object is on an intersection, you can just, if I want to move the finish right on the start, reset the flags, I will check the stage, the sprint object in an intersection, that's a problem. You can always select the kilometer marking and then move it, or just delete. Normally it will work if it moves, or you can just delete it, and if you check now, the error is also fixed. Normally I hope it will appear in game. I'm not sure. It's a bit it's not consistent, this mechanic with moving the kilometer markings. So I'm going to add another mountain sprint right here. Like this, KOM3, 2, and then yes, mountain 4. So now we have fourth category climb, both laps, and then a sprint on the second lap. So that's great. We check the stage. Only one error. Podium is not placed on landscape. So to place our podium, we go on the top bar, and then we check podium, and on the right side you can check what podium you want. So common Geo Tour de France large is the Champs-Élysées podium, and the normal is normal Tour de France podium, Vuelta podium, so I will select common. Normally it is the position is restricted to a certain thing, so if you select and right click on the thing, anywhere on the map, you see the arrow that it's restricted, and then you can try to zoom out, and it's always on the left corner right here. Where your podium is, that doesn't really matter, so because you won't see the background or anything. Just make sure there are no mountains or trees or houses in front of it, because then you get you can't sometimes see the podium really, so that's something to avoid. You can also untick the restrict position, and then you can select the podium and drag it across to the position where you want it. So yeah, that you can do. And now if we okay, fine. So now if we check the stage, tools check stage, you see the stage is ready to export. That means our stage is essentially finished. You can export it and write it on ProShacking Manager. But it's still a bit empty, so we will continue our tutorial with trying to decorate the stage.